At exactly midnight, a prison guard slides a small piece of paper under a steel door. It reads, "Execution scheduled, 6 a.m." The man on the other side has been waiting for this moment for 11 years. Death row is not like the rest of the prison. It is quieter, colder, and heavier. A place where time doesn't move the same way it does for everyone else. Tonight, inside the Polunsky Unit in Livingston, Texas, the most active death row facility in the United States, one man is living his final 24 hours on Earth. His name is Marcus Dwayne Webb. Convicted of a double homicide in 2003, he has spent over a decade inside a 60-square-foot cell, alone, 23 hours a day. If you want to understand what really happens inside America's prisons, subscribe right now. We cover real stories that most channels won't touch. Polunsky Unit houses over 200 death row inmates, each locked in individual cells, separated from general population. There's no communal dining, no group yard time, just a man and 4 concrete walls. Marcus wakes at 3 a.m., not from an alarm, but from instinct. After 11 years, his body has memorized this darkness. He sits at the edge of his bunk and stares at the floor. The cell around him tells the story of a man trying to hold on to something human. A few photographs taped to the wall, a worn Bible, letters he has read so many times the ink has faded. Outside his door, 2 correctional officers begin their final observation watch, logging every movement, every sound. Protocol requires that a death row inmate never be left unmonitored in their last hours. To understand what brought Marcus here, you have to go back to the summer of 2003, Houston, Texas, a neighborhood carved up by poverty, drug territory, and desperate men. Marcus was 24 years old. He was not a stranger to violence, raised in a household defined by it, running with gang members by the age of 15, and carrying a weapon before he ever held a steady job. On the night of July 14, 2003, a drug deal went wrong. 2 men were shot and killed in an alley behind a convenience store. Witnesses placed Marcus at the scene. A fingerprint on a shell casing sealed his fate. At trial, the prosecution painted a picture of a cold, calculated killer. The defense argued Marcus was present, but not the shooter. The jury deliberated for 6 hours before returning a unanimous verdict, guilty on both counts of capital murder. The judge sentenced him to death. Marcus was led out of the courtroom in silence. His mother collapsed in the gallery. He did not look back. For 11 years, Marcus filed appeal after appeal, ineffective counsel, new witness testimony, questions about the forensic evidence. Every appeal was denied. The system had made its decision, and it would not bend. By the time the courts exhausted every option, Marcus Webb had become a different man, older, quieter, and by accounts from prison chaplains, genuinely remorseful. But remorse does not stop an execution date. What do you think? Does the death penalty deliver justice, or does it go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Back inside Polunsky Unit, death row has its own unspoken culture. Even here, among men who will never leave, hierarchy exists. Respect is still currency. Weakness is still dangerous.
Inmates on death row communicate through the walls. Tapping codes, shouted conversations down the corridor during the 1 hour of daily recreation. In isolation, human connection becomes survival. Marcus had earned a quiet respect on the row. He did not complain loudly. He did not cause problems. He mentored younger inmates through the walls, telling them how to stay mentally stable inside a system designed to break them. The psychological weight of death row is unlike anything in general population. Inmates describe a unique torture, knowing the exact method and approximate date of your death, years in advance. It rewires the brain. Depression, hallucinations, and severe anxiety are common. Some inmates deteriorate completely. Others, like Marcus, find an almost eerie calm. Prison psychologists call it resigned acceptance. It is not peace, it is surrender. At 6 a.m. on his final day, Marcus is offered his last meal. Texas allows inmates to request anything from the standard prison menu. Marcus orders a cheeseburger, French fries, and a grape soda, the same meal his mother used to make on Fridays when he was a child. At 9 a.m., his spiritual advisor arrives, a Baptist minister named Reverend Calvin Hughes, who has walked beside 32 condemned men in their final hours. He sits outside the cell door, and they pray together for 2 hours straight. At noon, Marcus is permitted a final contact visit with family. His mother, now 67 years old, is the only one who comes. They sit across a table for 60 minutes. They hold hands. They do not speak much. There is nothing left to say that has not already been said. At 2 p.m., something unexpected happens. The warden receives a call from the governor's office. A last-minute clemency petition has been filed by a civil rights organization. New DNA analysis questions the original forensic findings. The entire unit goes tense. Guards communicate in hushed radios. Marcus is told to wait. For 3 hours, the fate of his execution hangs in legal limbo, a phone call away from being stopped or confirmed. At 5:15 p.m., the answer comes back. Clemency denied. The governor will not intervene. The execution will proceed as scheduled. Marcus receives the news sitting on the edge of his bunk, the same position he was in at 3 a.m. Those who witnessed his reaction say he simply nodded. He folded his hands. He asked the reverend to read Psalm 23 one more time. Then he stood up and prepared himself for what was coming. At 6 p.m., Marcus Dwayne Webb is escorted by 5 correctional officers through a corridor known as the Last Walk. Every step is measured. Every door buzzed open with the mechanical certainty of a system that has done this before and will do it again. He is strapped to a gurney inside the Huntsville Unit execution chamber. His last words, spoken clearly into the silence, "I hope this brings peace to the families. I'm reason. I'm ready." The lethal injection is administered at 6:18 p.m. If these real stories matter to you, subscribe. Every week we go inside the stories that America tries to forget. Marcus Webb was pronounced dead at 6:31 p.m. Outside the prison walls, his mother sat alone in a parking lot, unable to drive. Inside, a 60-square-foot cell was quietly cleaned out, ready for the next man the system would send to wait.